Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. Please smash that subscribe button to bring up our, spirits after this terrible, terrible loss against Bayern Munich, knocking us out of the Champions League after Benfica just beat Dynamo Kiev 2-0. This is just overall an awful performance by Barcelona, and I was just tragically hurt by it because at the end of the day here, I wouldn't mind if we lost against Bayern. In fact, I predicted we were going to lose against Bayern, but the way we lost, our performance overall was just downright bad, Adam. And I know you already have your gripes about Xavi's starting lineup, so let's get straight into that. What did you find wrong with his lineup coming out into this game?
Well, I don't know if I had too many gripes. I mean, this is the issue, right, is that we're playing with an awful team. And so there's just not that many players in there that Xavi has the chance to start, right? So you think about Alba getting hurt, right? We have to put Mingueza, who clearly is not good as like a left or right back, more as like a, right center back, left center back. And so he was outmatched on the wings. You think about how we sold Emerson this summer. And then, of course, all the injuries we know. We don't have Pedri to play. We don't have Braithwaite, Aguero. So it's a really limited choice. And, we're always towing this line of, like, how much do you criticize the manager versus what the team is dealt, right? Like, what cards they're dealt to employ on the field. And, I thought it was a little bit odd that we had Dembele line up as the left winger. I feel like for most of his career and most of his success, he's been a right winger. So I immediately thought that was a bit odd, especially when you think about, Alphonso Davies being on that right side, like facing the right side attacker. And so I thought having Serginho Dest there was very bad. And as the game started, we saw Dest just get outmatched a lot of times. Like, he's not a natural right winger, and he does fairly well as a right back. And so I thought it was a little bit suspect how we had Araujo as, basically the right back in that back four. But, you can pick apart all of these decisions and get upset at the how we employed some small decisions here or there, but there really wasn't that many other options, right? Like, that's what's so hard and frustrating about analyzing this team, is that you can't be that critical of the manager when the team is just playing so poorly. And there are some increases in pressing, in just overall the amount we run with Xavi as compared to Koeman, but then you just come and compare that to Bayern Munich. Just an incredible side, just so much better than us that it's really not fair for us to compete. I mean, they beat us 3-0 at home and away in the Champions League this season, and you just see their players. And Thomas Muller came out, and he had a quote, I thought, that summarized it well. Muller said, "I think Barca can't cope with the intensity. Technically, they have it all. They are great players tactically and technically, but they can't cope with the intensity in top football." And that's just so true and something we've been saying for so many years. And, as we've started to use more youthful players, right? Like, if you go back to Anfield or you go back to Roma, you could see that in those second legs when the opposing team, either Roma or Liverpool, were really pressing us hard and really challenging us, a lot of our players crumbled. And there was a question of, okay, how much of it is their physicality and intensity and training versus how much of it is like a mental fortitude issue where, after we had the losses to PSG 4-0, that was like 5 years ago now, then we lost to Juve in the Champions League, and then we lost to Roma. Yeah, there was a question of, like, how much of these players just got hit in the mouth and then they're afraid to go at it, or is it the training issue? And as we put in more young players who supposedly would help us be quicker and be more ready on an intensity level to play in these big games against the top teams in Europe, we're just not there. And so I really do think that, Muller captured it well. Just in these games against big opponents, not only do we not have the players and the experienced players we need to compete, but there's just like a physical level that we're not ready to compete at. You just see Sané kind of throwing around Gavi at one point and Dembele, and you just see Davies running through our side with just so much of a quick pace and an endurance throughout the whole game that we don't have. And it's just so frustrating because of the improvements Xavi has made. I think we're always seeing that the first 20 minutes or so of the games under Xavi have been really good. Even this game against Bayern, sure, we didn't score, but up until that Jordi Alba injury in like the 25th minute, the team looked decent, right? We were putting up a fight against Bayern Munich. And then after that, we just really slow down. The players can't make simple passes, and it just makes me think that we're just lacking something on the training side and like the physicality side to compete. And it's tough because the game changes, and I do worry sometimes that the more, the players in the mold of Xavi and Iniesta, if they were playing today, would have a harder and harder time against just these monsters that you see out there for Bayern Munich and Liverpool and these other teams. And so it's going to be on the team to train players better, like physically, as well as, that we might have to start looking for a little bit of a different profile. I think Gavi is a good player who is, he's well built, and he has some of that core strength and that just overall muscle on his body that can withstand some of this onslaught. But overall, you just see our players get run over, and it was an awful game, Yus.
Yeah, I was not happy watching this game, and you bring up some good points, right? Like, our team cannot face the brute force that comes off this Bayern team, right? A lot of these times, Busquets was getting hit around a few times, and he falls to the floor many times and gets hurt. But I was just baffled at some of the the bad passes from the players. It just didn't seem like they were placing anything appropriately.
Well,
it seemed like
that was what also pissed me off, right? Memphis Depay has been absent for 2 months now, right? We haven't seen him really score any goals besides penalties. We haven't seen him really create anything offensively. And is it because we're playing him as a striker and that's not his position? Yes, but that doesn't take away from the fact that, he's really offering almost nothing effective. And you look at even those first 25 or so minutes that I said were fairly good. I mean, really, it was just about, hey, let's try to kick a long ball to Dembele and have him run and, compete against their defenders and goalie. And that's not really a sustainable method for scoring. And like you're saying, we couldn't complete some fairly basic passes. Anytime we got the ball, it was like immediately, oh my God, Bayern are around us. What are we going to do? Let's give it up. And you just see some of the issues we saw for so many years, and it is a testament to how good Messi is that we were able to compete. Right, we were a game away from a Champions League final and almost a treble 2 seasons ago. And Busquets looked old, Pique's looking old. Mingueza and Lengelet on that first goal where Thomas Muller headed it in, they did nothing there to defend the ball. On the second goal, Ter Stegen just messed up. Right, like Ter Stegen is getting over the hill of his best years, and it's just sad because we thought Ter Stegen would be a rock in the back of our defense for years to come, and it just feels like for 2 or 3 seasons now he's steadily declining. The list of good positives from this game are so small compared to the negatives, and it's hard because you don't want to be too negative, but the reality is we're going to the Europa League, right? I would troll Arsenal fans of my friends for so long because if they're going to the Europa League, and to have it come home to Barca is really treacherous. Even winning the Europa League, right? Sevilla's in it. West Ham are in it. West Ham are a really good team in England. Like, I don't think it's at all a lock that will make the semifinals or finals of the Europa League. And so, the team really is going to have to focus and try and get top 4 in La Liga. That's our only chance back in the Champions League. And if we don't, it's going to be really hard to attract some players in the next few off seasons.
But overall, dude, all those are great points. But overall, we just can't score.
Yeah,
I'm watching this team time and time again. Dembele skyrocketing at a shot right in front. Nothing, no attempts, no shots on goal, nothing creative, nothing opening up space. That Alphonso Davies goal, he was wide open, late challenge on him, just was able to place it with great power and a little drop on the ball, and just, he had the time and the space to do that. None of our players are doing that. We get in front of the box, we're passing it around, no open space, nobody's making runs. A lot of times our players get a pass, but they just stand there. They don't even run towards the ball. They don't force that challenge from the defense. And also, Barcelona usually is a team that can maintain possession and kind of tire some teams out. But, dude, I think we came out with 30% possession in this game, which is god-awful. Our midfield couldn't hold on to the ball, couldn't preserve any passing, couldn't create space. I don't know. I can't say there's really any positive coming out of this game. I had really hoped that Benfica might just snub one and lose this game against Kiev, or they were going to draw, and we would have some chances. But maybe it's for the best that this result is going to happen this way, because we really need to get hit with reality here. And so many times,
that's the issue, right? Like, if we cut through all of the immediate issues we see with this team, what it really comes down to is, this has to be our quote-unquote rock bottom. It's like, dude, our rock bottom was at Roma, right? It was losing to PSG 4-0 and barely coming back with that 6-1. It was losing to Juventus the year after. It was losing at Anfield. It was losing to Bayern Munich 8-2 in that Champions League during the COVID season.
But there's one huge difference. Well, no, but we don't have Messi.
The thing here is that the Bartomeu screwed our club. And the issues that we've seen, like none of this stuff, if you go back to us after Anfield and you say, hey, is our issue that our players aren't physical enough, that our old guard isn't challenged anymore and they're just kind of walking through these games, and that when we come against opposition who might be better than us, we can never seem to win as the underdog, we would have said, yes, that's true. And, 3-4 years on, that's still the same case. And so it gets a little bit tiresome because Bartomeu dug us into this hole that we can't seem to get out of, but none of the issues we're facing are like that hard for us to believe because we've known these issues for so long. And so in a sense, like, we should have already hit this rock bottom in the last few years, and there's just no club that's a top level club like us, right? Bayern Munich, Man City, Chelsea. There's no club that's at this level who's been run so poorly in the last 5-6 years. And so it's despicable. Now, the idea is now that Laporta and Xavi will be the ones to usher in a new era, and I fully believe in Xavi, and I think it's really short-sighted for all these people coming out like, oh, don't you guys feel dumb that you wanted Koeman out? Xavi's just as bad. It's like, okay, let's take a pause. Koeman had a season with Messi, and that's why he won the Copa del Rey and almost won the La Liga title last season. This year, Xavi's playing with a young team, right? Like almost half of this team is under the age of 22. And, so we just need to have some patience, but we do need to understand that, the writing's been on the wall for a while now. And the quicker we're able to turn the page on the kind of the bad contracts and the bad mentality that Bartomeu left us, the quicker we'll be able to turn it around.
Sure. No, I definitely agree. I the only thing I really wanted to point out there was that having Messi covered up a lot of our faults. It covered up a lot of our scoring capabilities. How many times did Suarez not score in a Champions League game over the last few years, and we were just hoping his drought would have ended? How many times did Messi just come out and make a beautiful goal that saved us and won a game? The writing has been on the walls. I totally agree with you. We've seen these things. We've criticized, the managers, the players, talking about all the things we need to change. I think that with everything happening so fast and suddenly, especially over this last year or two with Bartomeu and then Messi leaving and the whole debacle of everything else, it's just hard that we didn't make the changes soon enough, and now everything has collapsed upon us. And, financial crisis, bad signings with players like Coutinho that don't do anything. I mean, even in the case of Dembele, who was injured for like 2 seasons essentially, it's just a really hard time when everything crumbles at one time. And man, it's just really hard to. I think the hardest part about this whole thing is the frustration of watching our team just utterly just do poorly in games like this,
the upside though is that we'll weed out a lot of those fans, right? I mean, I know social media is not the place to be as a sports fan when things are going bad, but hopefully we'll weed out the fans who don't really care about the club, who are just Messi fans or who aren't really bought into our ideals and what the club means. And that's, the Barca Breakdown. We're going to still be here whether we're winning or losing. And we've hit rock bottom, like you said. And so now I think people will have more patience with Xavi, right? Like if you get kicked out of the Champions League and half of those games are under Koeman, you of course cannot put the Champions League under Xavi. And so now he has half a season, a little bit more to really work with the team. And, if we lose against Osasuna this weekend, I don't think people are going to be that shocked, right? We've kind of written off this season, which I hope is liberating for some of our young players. Because in a well-functioning team that had planned for the future, even as good as Nico and Gavi are, they would be bench players right now, right? Learning and, coming in for some 70-plus minute entrances against, different La Liga teams. But right now they have to start because that's where we're at with our depth and with our squad. And so hopefully with the weight of the legacy of Barca kind of off their shoulders because people have, written the season off as a rebuild season and probably next year too. This might let them breathe and develop a playing style and learn with Xavi, and this will be really, a chance for Xavi to kind of start from zero, right? Koeman never had that chance because he had Messi and because he was just not a good coach. Xavi has this chance, and so this is where we can see, whether or not the club can really rebuild from the ashes under a coach who will be here for hopefully more than, Lucho or Valverde or Setien or Koeman were.
Sure, no, totally. And I think Xavi said it nicely. You know, he wants the players, especially young players, to enjoy football. And like you're saying, it'll give them a chance that this pressure kind of is relieved. You know, there's not so much expectations now. We're knocked out of the Champions League. We're 7th on the table. We're not scoring goals. I hope they can just truly enjoy the game and develop into, you know, wonderful players as the season goes on and the following season. But, you know, this is a hard game to talk about. A lot of emotion. It's not the most pleasing to the eye. But, you know, with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And please smash that subscribe button because we're going to have more content coming out, especially after this Osasuna
we
game
can all
coming
do our
on
therapy
Sunday.
sessions together. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.